What is up, everybody? This is Keith Jameson. I go by Gator Guy 231 on Sorare. No regrets, FC. I'll change that eventually, but whatever. It kind of works right now because I do have lots of regrets. Alex, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Alex Huber. I'm Tilt City FC over
That's never changed.
Sorare. No, that'll never change. Never ever.
No, and if it does, like I'm done with you. So don't.
Well, I mean, likely that'll be why it would possibly change. It's because we broke up and I'm not doing the show anymore.
Well, I got worried. I was actually more worried that you were actually saying you weren't going to do Tilt City because I actually enjoy that so much. Tilt City is Alex's DFS show on FSI with his good buddy that, normally Monday or Tuesday, I always get a good enjoyment as I'm like folding clothes listening to you guys. That's your role in my life, Alex.
I appreciate that. It's back on. We've confirmed episode 1 of the new season will be coming this weekend. Tom's ready to go. He's refreshed. I'm refreshed.
Let's go.
So EPL back this weekend. I'm psyched. And I'll get that Golazo going early too. So
yes,
tune into that.
Look at content. And then hold on. So I said let's go. Other thing this morning. Did you see the let's go when you woke up?
Oh no, I haven't looked at Twitter.
Let's go Leo Messi from Fabrizio.
Oh, all right, yeah.
So that
I was hoping
I went to bed last night and it was like the last ditch. Like, is Messi gonna stay at Barcelona? And no, it's Fabrizio. Let's go to PSG. It's done.
Yep. That's
the last one. So Alex, will you be selling body parts if PSG 21 mints come out and there's a Leo Messi?
No, if I can't afford the De Bruyne, I can't afford. I wouldn't go for the Messi. De Bruyne would be my first purchase if I had any amount of ETH.
Serial 1 rare Leo Messi over under 10 ETH.
I want to say under just because of the age, but I know better.
You do realize like if anybody wants to see a true whale party though, like just watch the bids. I'm curious. I'd be really curious if like Griezmann shows up. If Griezmann shows up,
see, I would love that. I think like the Messi unique going to Griezmann would be.
Oh my god, the Messi unique might hit $1 million.
Yeah,
like whatever that is in ETH, 300 ETH. Totally could happen.
Well, Gary V just paid $3 million for a CryptoPunk, so
I don't follow. I don't understand. I just don't. Nope. It's that CryptoPunk's beyond me. I'm actually just looking at all the NFTs going up and going like, I actually really like my Sorare cards because these actually use something, and it's probably not going to be too long before we get another huge push in Sorare.
I agree. Yeah, I hope that's the case. Do it. Yeah, that's true. I wish I had more investment pieces. I wish I had the Ethereum to have more investment pieces that I could just sit on. I'm gonna miss my Eddie Salcedo. I can just say that. But I need him for roster building.
So you wouldn't be on SoCommon Sorare without if you did have that extra bit. So anyhow, I wanted to start the show. I told you I was going to surprise you with a start and not tell you because I want to see. So I'm a realtor. Most people know this. I follow me in DFS by day job. And our real estate coach every week during our coaching call says, all right, let's start with a win. Tell me something good. Alex, I do not want to start a win. That is not our relationship at all. Hey, Alex, start with a tilt. I want to hear what tilted you this weekend.
I've heard that somewhere. Oh God, everything. So, I mean, the two big things for me, one, in Global All-Star D4, I start out with Edgar Silva, goal. I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have captained him. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, maybe Ezekiel Barco will do 2 goals. That made my
as your captain.
Yes, as my captain. Yes. Yeah. So 98. But then I have Room as my goalie. He's a common anyway, so I only get 10 points out of that. Yeah, I have a feeling you're gonna talk about him. But so Kai Wagner not starting was just a kick in the pants. But I don't know that it mattered because it was against New England, and I didn't expect a whole lot of points out of him anyway. He ended up coming in. He got 20 points himself.
Half.
Half, yeah.
Yeah.
So 20 points out of him. And then Ryotaro Araki from Kashima Antlers did play yesterday. So I did clear the second threshold global before.
Yes.
But I think maybe my bigger tilt than Kai Wagner is I've been waiting over a month for J League to come back. I had a Nagoya Grampus 8 stack. 5 minutes into the game, my captain and center back scores an own goal. They lose 2-0 to Yokohama, the team with like the negative 34 goal differential. So now I have this Nagoya stack for a decent schedule for the next couple of weeks. And they actually play midweek. So I might actually be able to churn some Ethereum in the middle of the week after hitting 0.2. So I'm really not in a horrible position, but I had such higher expectations for this week. And on a week where DFS went wrong for me and season-long fantasy baseball went wrong, I just needed a win. And I was so close. And I mean, the second threshold's enough of a win, but
yeah, I mean,
I had high expectations.
Second threshold is getting back to being worth a lot too, like dollars. And you know, second threshold is even more important as we are seeing prices adjust with the Ethereum going up. I kind of joked with you a couple of days ago, like, when is this going to happen? Do people realize how much Ethereum going? And it is going up. I'm definitely starting to see that as I've been like researching goalies, because I'm like one goalie shy. And so I guess a good segue into my week. Still a little tilt city, but overall I cannot complain or great tilt too much. I got a 7th in Champion Asia, which I have 0 tilt on Champion Asia at all, because you know, I was talking to you as I did it. Like, you mentioned J League back, and I'm like, oh man, I wonder if nobody else realizes it's back either, like myself, because the games were all like Monday morning. Well, so Monday morning our time at like 6, you know, so I have no idea how the days work in Japan. Was it actually like Monday night there or Tuesday night? I know they're so far ahead of us. Or
I know New Zealand is like 12 hours exactly.
Well, I mean, considering the Olympics were there, you would think that we would know by now, but
it's true.
I think it's the same day, just night. I don't know. It might be a day ahead of us. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's not that big of a deal. So their game, but it wasn't until Monday. It wasn't the general like Saturday. So like,
yeah,
you click your sofa, which I think I know that's how I look at games up and look at matchups. And you look at Saturday, you go, oh, no J League. It was on Monday. So I'm like, all right, maybe there's a little bit of edge here. You know what? I have my boy, and he truly was my boy, Fukumori.
He's the king.
I'm sorry you sold him.
I've profited on him 3 times. I think I've made like 0.05. I've made like 2.5 thresholds.
He's at this point, is despite almost everybody in my gallery always being for sale, I don't think that I can, because he's the one guy now that's won me like legit rewards. Like, he's the guy that won me the Mike Tresser that I sold, which still hurts, but I still got 0.275 ETH from a reward before, from a tier 2 reward. So no complaints there. And Fukumori, the 100 this week, and not like a pretty neutral matchup. So he drops 100. Then
Against my keeper.
What's that?
Against my keeper.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
See, I knew it wasn't a great matchup. I was considering captaining him, and I'm just like, you know, this is a pretty neutral matchup. So I had a mini Frontail stack. Frontail, for those that don't know J League at all, that is like Man City EPL, like
bosses.
But like Man City EPL before Chelsea and Liverpool were good. Like when Man City would just like ransack the league and everybody was like a full, like very much behind. That's Kawasaki Frontail. So I had 3 guys from Tail, the goalie, a defender, and then a holding midfielder who we'll talk about the reasons for that when we're building out a team. I'm really bad at this intro, by the way, Alex. I didn't mention what we're going to be talking about today. I'll do that in a minute. And then I picked up from one of your favorite teams, the Marinos. Marinos score a lot of goals. Like, they're very open. So Marcos Jr. Is this like set taking number 10 guy for them. Sometimes if you actually like read terrible translations, they say he's a striker too. I don't know. From what I can see on like heat maps, he looks like a number 10, but he was suspended before the break, he had gotten a red card. So I looked and his price was way down. So I was throwing out some pretty low low offers just to random people, just seeing if like anybody would budge. And I got him for 0.11. So he went in, scored a goal. It's a great week. 7th place. Kawasaki got a clean sheet. 7th place, tier 1 reward. So that should be at least 0.1 ETH. Yeah. And then America, Eloy Room. I love you. I'm sure you're a really nice guy, but my God, dude, you screwed my lineup really bad.
He's on a rough run too.
Columbus is on a rough run, which is the craziest part, because Columbus must have known that I became a Columbus fan. I bought a Columbus stack just in time for them to be horrific. Yet somehow I played 4 of the stack in Champion America. I played Room, Jonathan Mensah, my boy, goal off of a header from Zelarayan. So you have good correlation there. Then Pedro Santos in like the 90th minute with a bailout PK. I made him my captain. I'll just say this on strategy. Like playing Pedro Santos as my captain was such a terrible idea. You actually want to hear my rationale?
Sure.
It's really like the most backward rationale like ever. So I went to myself. So Columbus has had like 3 games in like 9 days. There's a really good chance Zelarayan gets rotated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Mensah will, but Mensah was so bad last game and I had him as captain, so I'm not going to do that. Mistake 1, right? Because I like captaining defenders. I think defenders have like a really nice floor and also like really amazing upside when they score. Pedro Santos had been on the bench last game, so I went, Pedro Santos is definitely starting this game. So I captained him because he was definitely starting, and I didn't want to make the mistake of my captain being on the bench. But in Champion America D4 with a stack, if one of those starts on the bench, I'm not winning a card anyways.
Right.
So why am I then playing a safety captain?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense, but
right, because you're not winning a card if your guy's starting from the bench, most likely, more than likely.
That's true. Hey, man, it worked out. Did he score? Did Santos?
Well, he was the least. PK? He was, other than Room, he was the least scorer. So if I actually captained Mensah or Zelarayan, I actually would be. I think I would have gotten a lot closer. I don't actually want to know that I would have gotten like a star reward, but it was up there. And then I had Castellanos, who, probably one of my best buys in a while. I bought him like at the low, and he's been great ever since. So good week. Looking forward to winning, to opening tier 1. I got 2 tier 1s coming towards me, Alex.
That's amazing, dude. That's sick. And just friend of the show. Did you see Laird won?
Yeah.
3?
You know what?
By 26.
He actually messaged me before the game, telling me, me and him talk, probably every day, every other day, just, a couple messages here or there. Really awesome dude. Couldn't be happier for him. But he, I didn't even know where he was at. He had said something to me about like where I was at, because after the Columbus game, I was like number 1 in Champion D4. That's what happens when you stack the first game of the slate.
Yeah.
I'm like that old Millie Maker guy in golf, right? I have all the terrible golfers that go out first, just so I can screenshot my buddies. I'm winning $1 million. But I didn't even know where he was at, because I'm not playing D3.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I have no idea how many people have Atlas guys out there, but I wouldn't mind if the game gets canceled. And he's like, me too. And I'm like, oh, you have a good one going on? He's like, kinda. I'm like, what do you have going on? He's like, well, I have D3 one as long as Torres doesn't get 100. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, man.
So happy for that guy. He's on a great run. And
yeah, dude, he's killing it.
And you know what? So kind of that's going to segue us to today's episode and like what we're talking about. So name of the episode is Socheap, So Competitive? Question mark? Because, I think one of the most common things, and I would say when I talk to people about Sorare, the most common barrier to entry is what, Alex?
I mean, getting to know crypto one, but also like the price that you have to pay to put together a team.
The price, because everybody's like, that's too much money. Me and you know each other from, the DFS site, FSI, you have in our soccer room, by far our most popular room and most active room, we have everything from people that get a huge rush, and there's, for the record, there's zero wrong with this, but a huge rush, like heart pounding, from $10 risk. And you have people that are putting mortgage payments on Liga MX showdown slates. We have the entire realm, right? So those guys that are doing that, you tell them, $500 minimum to start this, you're probably not winning a card, but maybe you can get the threshold team. They're like, okay. And you have the other guy, $500, see you next year. Yeah. So
I can't believe, honestly, I don't remember what I actually put in. What I put in was how much Ethereum my wife had bought. Okay. Like, she was getting into crypto and she bought some, and I was just like, hey, can I use it? And I don't even remember what amount it was. And I didn't think I would. Yeah. You'd think it would have made sense to figure that out before I actually did it. But I didn't think I was going to be able to field anything. And that stopped me from getting in for a while. Like, you had been talking about it. And speaking of Laird, he had been, plugging it on the RotoWire podcast. And I didn't think I would be able to afford it. And knowing what I know now, I probably could have done a lot better at the beginning with less than I actually put in. So I think we're going to dive into that.
Yeah, we're going to show you we're going to try to build a team here for 0.2 or less. So right now, Ethereum is at about 3,000-ish for dollar. I think like 31 or 3,200. So 0.2, roughly $600. I would love to see if we can do cheaper for people. Maybe hit that magic 500. But yeah, that's a barrier. But I do think that a team, I was playing around with it last night, can be very competitive if you use the tools correctly and you plan correctly and you do timing. So it's Tuesday morning as we're recording this. It's going to be up here. It'll be live for people to watch soon enough. But today, for this weekend coming up, this would be the day to buy. Mm-hmm. So, I'm very big into timing. For the longest time to build up my ETH balance, I just flipped cards like crazy. And, 0.01 here, 0.02 there, and it really helps. I only just segue, Alex, I put in 3,000 USD. Mm-hmm. That was my Sorare outlay. I'm like, $3,000, which is a lot of money. I totally get it. But in the Sorare world, $3,000 is not much. Like, that is on probably the bottom 1 to 2% of people that play the platform, I would say, or play the platform and invest as much time as I do. So I did, so it was like it's like 1.7 ETH at that time. That's what I put into Sorare, and I was done, and I'm still done. I'm not going to put in $1. I'm going to do everything off my playing. And like you said, I feel like there was a way I could have handled it better, but we're doing okay. Have a decent gallery, so we're going to move. But we're going to show you guys how to build your gallery up. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself at GatorGates31 on Twitter. Alex, hold on, I'm going to say it right. Don't Alex Hooper, but the A being the @ sign. I love it.
Yeah, @Lex Hooper. Even if you just say @Lex Hooper, it sounds kind of like my name. So
I want to prove that I remember that your @ sign is an A.
I appreciate it. Everyone else forgets.
And this is another little bankrolling tip before we get to Sorare data and start playing with the team. Use a referral code. We would love it if you use our referral code in the notes. But once you buy 5 auctions, which you will do in your lifetime on Sorare, I promise. It's too tempting to not do it.
And if you want help with the auctions too, reach out, because that can be tough.
There's going to be a lot of them coming too. Like, we're about to have auctions out in Blender terms, auctions out the ass as all these teams get brought on. So there'll be some good deals in auction. Again, you just have to plan. Auction planning is big. But once you get 5, you get a free card. We will split the card that comes through our code. But we'd love for you to use our code. So look at the notes. All right. With that out of the way, let's get into the best site in the world. Second best is Sorare. First best is Sorare data. It's a must. Play around with it. It comes, I don't even want to say it comes free, but it's an integration. Allow it. Sorare data is amazing, And if you are going to be playing Sorare seriously, you have to get to know Sorare data. I'm not going to go through the tips on Sorare data. Just here it is. You'll see us use it. So, Alex, do you use Find the Player or do you use Card Finder?
I use Card Finder. I've never actually used this
I
page.
much prefer Find the Player. So I
will after watching it.
I like the filters a little bit more, and I also like the layout a little bit better. So I'm going to use Find the Player. If you don't like it, we'll switch to Card Finder. I use both. So
no, I'm going to learn this with everyone else.
All right. So first and foremost, the only thing we're not going to be able to do, but for the sake of tracking, because Alex, we're going to track this over a few weeks. So I want to see over a month, once we do this team, I want to see how much it makes. Okay. So you have an Eloy Room common as much as I have an Eloy Room rare. So I guess he's our boy.
Okay.
He's so common, so rare, boy.
Truly.
So Alex will be able to tell us what Eloy Room common does, and we'll track the rest of the players. So Eloy Room common is going to be our goalie for the sake of this exercise.
So just to be clear, what has happened in this, if you are starting your team and Eloy Room common is your keeper, is you've selected Columbus as your favorite team and you got a Eloy Room common. This could be any goalie, depending on who you choose, but choose a team with a good starting goalie.
And I, at this point, would strongly suggest not Columbus. based on the fact that I own the stack and ETH has gone up so much, there's a 0% chance that I'm selling my stack. I have a couple more months of utility. So the only way I'm going to pay back my investment in it is by playing it. So I'm not going to be selling that stack anytime soon. Thus, they probably will be missing the playoffs.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if you're picking a team right now, picking like a Liverpool, getting Allison, picking PSG, freaking A, PSG. I don't even know who their goalie is going to be. Is it going to be Navas or Donnarumma? I think it's going to be Donnarumma, but I keep seeing people paying like 0.4, 0.5 ETH for Navas. So
I had read that they are going to loan Donnarumma out for the first season.
That was the plan I had heard, but I mean, now is it after he won Euro almost? I don't know.
Until it happens, I mean, I don't know many keepers that are better than him anyway. So
but Navas is up there too.
Navas is close. Navas is one of the few who you might be able to put ahead of.
You could. I really think, we said this last week, but I really think I would do some research, find a U23 lockdown starter. So Sparta Moscow has the guy like Masinovich or something like that. You've got like Go Hitano. You had a couple of J League U21 starters that would be great. I think U21, U23. Ochoa and Real Salt Lake, even though he's been injured, he will be back. McMath had a howler this weekend, so Ochoa did not lose that job. But so like if you can get a lockdown starter that's U23, I think that's the best way. But so we're not going to be buying a goalkeeper. Buying a rare goalkeeper will immediately render this exercise useless.
Yeah.
So it's 4 other rares. We're going to start out with defender. So Alex, what is your opinion on defenders? Because for me, defender is my favorite position.
My opinion is find Akito Fukumori and pay whatever you have to pay to
get some hundreds. Yeah. He's under 0.1. He wouldn't work for this exercise, but he's totally gettable for one of your first like splurge plays. Now, it's actually really important to understand the Sorare matrix. So if you're coming from DFS, like fullbacks are not what you want. Fullbacks, will score well when they get a decisive score, so then they get an assist or a goal. But otherwise, their floor can sometimes be tough. You want a center back, and the reason why Akito Fukumori is so amazing is he's a center back that takes set pieces. So that's like the goal of life in Sorare. I actually listened to Laird and PSU talking about like a week ago. PSU, very smart dude, talked about like the best type of players in Sorare, are center backs, and then holding defensive midfielders that take sets are like the god of Sorare. So
if we get leads this year, just buy Calvin Phillips.
Oh my God, he would be so good on the platform. He would be so good. I'm trying to think, but in the MLS, it's why guys like Jack Price are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really sorry for saying this, but like Montero is really, really good before all of his issues, I know. But like that's why he scored so well, because he did so many defensive stuff on top of set pieces. So all right.
Still no news on that either. There's been no updates.
It'll happen. It'll happen. We'll see.
I'm impatient. Literally my most expensive player.
I know.
No utility.
I have hope. I have hope for you.
We'll see.
Anything but Brazil. Anything but Brazil, you'll be fine.
Right.
So go ahead.
You said it with center backs. I mean, if you find a strong center back who starts all the time, I mean, you're already set.
Yep. And here's the other thing that's really cool too. Defenders, in my opinion, are still underpriced for how they score.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm starting a team out, I'm curious if you're okay. I want 2 defenders. That's the spot that I want 2 of. I want a defender, and then I want to use my defender spot on extra because their floors are great. Again, for 0.2, we're not trying to win a card at this point. If we win a card, fantastic. We're trying to churn out some thresholds in Global All-Star D4. And maybe in a month, we're close to we're getting close to 0.1, which now we can buy a series. I can buy a Fukumori for 0.1.
That's your first goal, is buy a Keto Fukumori.
Yep. And so here's the other thing. Just because we're starting at defender, and we're looking to buy 2 of them, forward is going to be our most expensive position. So we want to see how much money we can save because we're probably going to have to spend about 0.05 to 0.07 for a forward. So that's going to be our biggest outlay and also our lowest score. That's going to be the tilt. But all right, let's see what we've got here. I'm going to go up to 0.06, but realistically, we're going to look for lower. We're going to be able to save money in defense on mid too.
So you've set it up to make sure it's a guy who plays next weekend. And then what were some of your other sliders there?
Yeah. So I know you love percent of games played at 100 and start at 100.
If I'm getting somebody, if I'm looking for somebody just to plug in for 1 week, for what it's worth, I'll dip it down if I'm looking for a longer term guy.
So I really don't want to do that too because of all the internationals that happened. Like Gold Cup, a lot of these guys were away. I think we're going to run into a lot of MLS guys, and we know MLS best. So, or I do at least. J League best. And we're not going to run into any EPL guys here, so don't worry about that. So yeah, I did 70s, and then these are pretty much the standards. All arounds down. Minimum score 35, so meaning that they average, what you get when you start a game, you get 35. So,
and you're looking for starters who don't have injuries or suspensions.
So, and then here's how to read this too. So the bottom left, that's best market price, and then the top one, even though it's not showing, is 3 days average. So you know what they've been selling for the last 3 days on the secondary market. So Brooks Lennon right away, that's interesting. Set pace taking fullback. I think he's a little dinged up though, and he's
60%. So he started 3 of their last 5, played 3 of their last 5.
Yeah, because he's a little dinged up, but once he's in, I think Atlanta too is going to take off. So the guy he's still here that I had pegged when I was looking last night is Oswaldo Alanis for San Jose. Do you know one of the big reasons I really like this play?
I don't. Other than that San Jose is the greatest team in the world.
From the one guy in our DFS chat that was the biggest San Jose Quakes fan, and it would just every game.
Wish
San Jose
Quakes, baby. I wish I was as excited about anything as that guy was about San Jose Earthquakes football.
It still lives on though. I think it's one of the guys every single time San Jose they say a showdown. Greatest team in the world.
That's all I know, though. Are they good? Are they actually good?
They're actually playing okay. They don't get a ton of possession or anything by any means, but
it's cheap as hell.
So guess what else? He's on their PKs.
Oh yeah,
He's a center back. So he's
say no more.
Back, a central center back in a back 3, Mexican national, and he takes their PKs. I'm assuming I'd have to look. I'm assuming Wando might grab from him, but as long as Wando is not on, at
0.03, what are we capping this at? 0.1?
We want to do 0.2 for 4 players. Look at here, 1 month average down here around 0.41. Let's look at his score. So here's the other cool thing about Sorare data. So click on your guy, it pops up as another one, and now you can see his scores. So pretty consistent scorer here in the 50s. We get a lot of 50s.
That's beautiful, though. I would take that all day for 0.03. I might buy him right now.
0.03. So that was one of the guys that jumped out to me. So let's go ahead and let's say that Oswaldo Alanis is our starting one of our defenders. You like that?
I legit might just go. I have 0.048 just sitting. I might just go buy him right now. You sold me.
Let's do it. We'll talk after. We'll do a little bit more research, but I'm pretty sure they actually got rid of Jungwirth, who was this other center back that they had for the longest time. Used to play, I believe, in like Bundesliga or Bundesliga 2. They just sold him too. So I think it's him, Beeson, and Nathan are like locked down in their back three, and they've been playing well. So I do like to play.
I can't believe Anton Walks is only 24.
He went down in price. He was up over 0.1. So a lot of these prices have gone down.
He was with Spurs when I started watching.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know he played in D2 or in EFL for a while.
Yeah.
So let's look at a few others. That's mine up here, by the way. I have a Keegan Rosenberg.
I know you have Keegan, yeah.
In a trade, he just put up 90 last week. He played in a back three, and all of a sudden he shoots up. I also sold up Barbosa. But these are fullbacks. I don't really want for this team to do a fullback.
What about Gasper? Is he a fullback?
He's a fullback. Herrera's a fullback, and Mbaiza. These are all good players too.
I like Mbaiza.
It's just like let's use Mbaiza real quick for an example. He had a really nice run here, but if you look compared to Alanis too, you've got a lot more down here because they lose possession a lot on the outside.
Right.
And that's bad for the scoring matrix. So, but when they get decisives, they can do really well. So I don't think for the price versus Alanis.
Not on a budget.
Not on a budget. So, and by the way, if we have money left over, fantastic. So like, because if I was doing a fullback, I'll take Metzner, 0.023. I like that a lot more.
Kim OQ.
Tennerholm. These are all fullbacks. So I really like, and I think he has good utility. One of the guys I had pinned down was Mauricio Pineda. So starting center back for the Fire. He's also U23 eligible, which again, that keeps a premium and keeps his price up just for one more year. But at the end of the season or the beginning of next season, I think you'll be able to pull him. So that's a thought. And he plays central center back and a back three.
That man does not look 23.
What's that?
So that man does not look 23.
I know. Not at all. Kolmanek, by the way, like not the worst idea either. He takes set pieces for Austin, but he's a fullback. He doesn't score that well. Bresson's a center back. So yeah, I got a couple of choices and we can look in, but I would say Bresson is up there. Pineda up there. Let's see if anybody else pops up.
Let me check real quick.
Omar Gonzalez, USA fame.
That's true.
0.028. I just don't like Toronto's not going to get a lot of clean sheets. I do like to have some clean sheet equity because your defenders shoot up in price. Dave Romney, I don't think is crazy, but he's kind of up there in price.
Kim OQ.
Who's that? Where's that?
Right there next to Mbaiza. He's 0.19 and he's a center back. Jeju is not very good.
Always a good start.
They're mid-table.
He has had a big game.
That's true. He did
50 all around.
Yeah, he's not bad. I had him for a little bit, and he was a plug and play. But I mean, 0.19, like that saves you a lot for some other spots.
I love that. So we could do something like that. I'll tell you what's going to be funny. Maybe this will end up being. We said 0.2. If we did something like him, we might be able to do this for like under 0.15.
Right now, I mean, like that's almost possible.
Let's see if there's anybody else I want to bring up that I know. Jeff Cameron's been playing well. He's really old. Like, I think Alanis, for the sake of this, we want to keep some utility. Yeah. Alanis at 32, maybe about as old as we want to get. Jeff Cameron at 36. That's I mean, you're getting up to like my age. So you got to be careful there. So
Jeff Cameron's an old 36.
Right.
For what it's worth.
A lot of USA heartbake.
Yeah, no
caused by him.
For what it's worth, Jeju's schedule is not very good coming up, and that's something like when you're making an investment in players, and especially if you think you're going to have them for a while. Like, look at their schedule, look at the teams that they're playing, which is not something I had done until recently. I was kind of like, this guy scores well, I will buy him. But like, planning out is a big thing, as you taught me as I was just kind of learning. So at 0.19, it may not matter,
right?
But they have a rough schedule coming up.
Let me show you Pineda, and then we'll make a decision here.
Okay. He's kind of on an upswing price wise.
He's been nice. And then last year, he was really, really good for them when Chicago was playing well. So I kind of like Pineda here just because he's U23 too. So I feel like we're gonna make that investment of 0.045 and be able to recoup a lot of it. The only other thing that I'll pour calm on Korea. I think once you buy Korean or Japanese, you're signing up for some lunacy in your life.
It's the only way I know how.
Yeah, right. You will learn that Google Translate is your friend. You will learn that the coverage of the K-League and the J-League is really, really, really bad, and you have no idea who does what. And you will also have bugged sleep from time to time when you know your guy starts at 3 a.m. and you kind of sort of want to check if he's starting, even though there's nothing you can do about it.
I don't have children, but I never thought that Korean League and Japanese League football would change my sleep schedule like having a child. Like, I will wake up out of a dead sleep in a cold sweat being like, oh God, did he start? Did my guy start? And then I'll look and he didn't. And then I can't sleep because I'm tilting at 3:30 in the morning.
So I woke up, what was it, Monday morning? Fukumori actually played at 2, and my dog woke up at like 3:30 begging to go. And I saw he had an assist already, and I quickly went over to Soder as I'm like letting the dog take a leak, and he's at like 80 something, and I actually fell back asleep happy.
That's the dream.
Normally it doesn't go that way. Normally he's injured and you're done. You're just up. So let's do, if you're cool with it, let's do Pineda, because I didn't even realize I own Pineda.
Yeah, I saw that.
As you can see, number 30. I forgot that last year his scores were that good for a while.
Really quick, if you go back to his price graph, I just want to point something out that I do for better or worse. So like, he's on that upswing kind of at the tail end there, slightly.
Well, if you actually go back, it'll be gross. Look at where he was selling to start the season.
That makes sense. But like, when I see that price, and see, I don't even normally click through that because I don't take enough time to study sometimes. But when I see people on upswings like that, I generally avoid them because I feel like it's only going to correct back down, which at like where I'm at 0.45, it's not a big deal because like the most you're going to lose is like 0.02
exactly or
something like that, and that's not a huge loss. But I do tend to look at guys who maybe have trailed off or are on a downswing.
Well, here's one other thought on this for us, and maybe we can come back to this extra spot once we're done. But like, Brooks Lennon is the exact opposite of what you just said. Now, he's not exactly what we want for our matrix. He's not playing center back, but look at your last few.
Yeah.
And look at how high we got after, because like, look at some of his scores. Brooks Lennon, because of the DNPs, but for this weekend, without doing research, because I was actually surprised he showed up in our filter. He didn't show up last night. Like, before we bought him for the first game week, I don't want to know that he's playing. Yeah. But those are some beautiful scores because he's a set piece taking guy.
What are his offers at currently?
I mean, you got one for 0.06, so you probably could easily get him probably with somebody panicking. I think you could very easily get him for 0.05. His last one, there was just a sale yesterday for 0.05.
Gotcha.
Now it's funny though, that 0.06 is pretty much an outlier.
I know. But I might go offer him my 0.048 I have and see if I can flip him.
I mean, dude, he's a good player and he's U23. So I like Pineda or Lennon as a choice. But again, for the sake of this exercise, I lean Pineda just because I know he's playing.
Yeah.
All right, midfield. So we'll go back to this and at the end say our final choice. Midfield. I'm going to leave the same filter on. So hold on, the other thing. So we spent 0.03 for Alanis, and then let's say 0.045 for Pineda.
Okay.
All right.
And
there's
a chance.
What's that?
There's a chance you could get them for less if you really work and send some good offers. Good offers, yeah, right. Good offers for you, not necessarily good offers for the person you're offering them to. So there's ways to get around it.
Especially in a guy like Lennon is a really good opportunity to jump in and get somebody on kind of a panic sell. That's just like, I know he's going up. This guy's not playing. He's not doing anything for me.
See, that's a guy that I would target. I would prefer that he did start a game, but then normally when you get a guy who starts, their price goes right back to where it was. Yep. But if like if the interim coach for the season in Atlanta has said that Lennon will play 90 this weekend, then like go get him before other people can. But
right, because you're going to see because I mean that's a guy too that if you buy. Now, the hardest part always is, what ETH does. If ETH goes to 5,000, then yeah, you're probably not going to make money on him. But if ETH stayed where it's at or even goes down, he's going to go right when he starts. He's going to go right back up to that 0.07, 0.08. So there's a nice little built in some profit there too if you can wait it out. All right, midfield. So this is where we want destroyers. We want holding guys. Right away, I see 3 holding guys right at the start. I know you just researched Michael Bradley not too long ago.
Yep.
He's back in your life again.
I didn't end up buying him, but at that price point.
He's a decent scorer in the Matrix. Dax McCarty, for what it's worth, scores incredibly similar to Michael Bradley for really cheap.
I interviewed him once.
Yep, he plays. Nagme, I like, scores well. Sean Davis is a good player that scores well.
Is he a set taker?
Not anymore, no.
No, I remember him in DFS taking.
Red Bulls is annoying too. They're just all over. Let's see if there's anybody else that sticks out. Junior Moreno scores decent. Pochettino, I know, just had a huge game a few games.
I was going to say, I know they're really high on him. He's their designated player, right? Or one of them?
I think one of them. I don't think he starts every game, which is annoying.
Yikes. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, okay, yeah, the early game weeks a year ago. It's over 52 weeks ago.
He was in like Argentina,
too,
or something, and was crushing it there.
Yeah, I'll go with him. Espinoza only 0.19. That's real budget. Not very good.
So I own him. I wish I would have sold him at like 0.03 because I just never will use him. Kansas City, it's just been weird with the rotation. I would have thought he'd just been locked down once Busio went, but they have like Walter, Kinda is back. They have this like young guy named Cam Duke. They have another guy that's away with his family. So their midfield's kind of a mess. Any of these K-League guys jump to you?
No.
Oh my God, FSI fame. He's really bad for the scoring matrix.
Yeah.
But here's actually fun to look at on Lewis Morgan. Like, you want to talk about a price history change? All the way up to...
Is that like 0.5?
Yeah, he got it way up there. I almost bought him. Thank God I didn't. It was, I don't know why. Here, let's do rolling selling ranges.
Do you remember when I was
0.49?
Do you remember when I was looking at Anthony Fontana preseason at like 0.3?
That would have been a disaster. But I mean, he's doing okay. I don't know if we want to spend our money. But look, last year you can see why he at least spiked for a bit.
Right. Yeah, he was a monster for a while.
Well, especially for DFS. So let's see.
Anybody Wanyama.
Who?
Victor Wanyama, my guy.
Oh gosh. I don't even think he's suspended. So that'd be bad.
Vic. What'd you do, Vic? He's got one of the funnier Twitter presences of all time.
Really?
Yeah, tweeting about how he watched The Ring and he said, I'm throwing it straight in the bin. Too scary.
That's funny. So
he's just a funny dude.
I'm going to recommend, and I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to recommend Dax McCarty for our budget player.
I see a lot of lime green, which is good for me. If you can get...
So this game, by the way, was
look at the consistency.
Yeah.
Last 5, 50. Last 15, 50. Last 40, 50.
Yeah.
It's my guy.
And I mean, he's a little bit older, but we're really not spending much. And so just a little funny thing on this DNP before you worry. He was the broadcaster of that game. And they asked him about it. And he's like, Yeah, I want to play. The coach told me I'm not allowed to play today because I've played too many games. So he literally went and announced the game.
That's funny. He's a nice dude. I interviewed him during the Gold Cup when it was in Cleveland back in 20.
He looks like he's a nice guy. Looks like
Yeah,
he could do your accounting, do your taxes.
He does. Yeah, no, he was really cool.
But I love the graph for a midfielder. I'm going to plug him in and feel pretty good that I'm going to get 50 points.
Yeah, for 0.024, like you can't find a lot of guys like that. And if a guy like Dax McCarty like retires tomorrow and becomes a collectible, then like you didn't spend that much. And he's 34. It's not like he's on his way out. But if he stops playing like for 5 games or whatever, you could still probably flip him for like 0.016 and barely lose anything. Like you can make that up in 1 week. You can make his salary up in less than a month.
Well, and again, when we're talking about a grinder that is going to get us to E threshold, the 0.02, the holy grail, is 250, which means we want to average 50 across our positions. But we're going to get a captain spot. We're going to have outliers. So,
and your keeper's probably not going to get you there because the scoring's bad and you're losing half if you're running the captain.
Your captain. I mean, hell, this is a captain choice that you could go ahead and get the extra bump out of. And, if you do get a decisive, his all-around scoring is so good that if you get a decisive from him, you're looking at like 60 to 80. So yeah. I like it. You approve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Dax McCarty, so far we're doing good of my planning last night. We're getting the guys that I was planning to. And again, 0.024, you may even be able to get a little bit cheaper. Look at that. Nice little discount on the 1 month average too.
Thanks to the ETH.
All right. Here's where our budget gets screwed up. So let's see if this works the same way as last night. So same filter up to 0.06.
How much do we have? How much do we have left?
So we have spent 0.03 on Alanis. We spent, if we do Pineda, we spent 0.045 and 0.024 on McCarty. So 0.55. Yeah, so we spent 0.1 on 3 players.
Okay, so we have 0.1 left.
If we do this less than 0.2, I would love it. I think that's even more attainable. Like I would love to do this for less than 500. All right, great. So I considered Fafa Pico, I think. I think the T is silent.
Makes sense.
But he does not have much of a floor. If you look at his all-around scores, he starts though, but his all-arounds are nothing. You're getting a decisive or bust.
Right. Which that's going to be the case with most forwards, right?
Most forwards. Kubo is a little interesting because he's a forward on both of his cards. He's a forward, but he's playing a central midfield role.
It's like what's his name from Vancouver?
Tybert.
Yeah.
The moment I sold him, he stopped starting. So I'm really glad I got off.
Oh, good.
But you get a little bit more all around with Kubo, but your opportunity for decisive doesn't exist.
Right.
So I think it's okay. Let's see if we can push the budget a little bit. Let's see if anybody else comes up.
If we have 0.1 left, I'd be interested to see where it's at. I know nothing about these Liga MX guys for what it's worth.
They get a lot of red cards.
I know that.
Young Ramirez took some sets for a while, but he didn't take them the last game.
Gotcha. I remember him. Cho Young Wook, don't buy him.
Okay.
Although he's played the last 5. He was one of my first buys, and I got him fairly cheap. I think I broke even on him, which was not the case for the first 5 guys I bought generally. But he was really spotty on a bad team, so I would not recommend it. Garrisso's not bad.
Garrish, by the way, one of the craziest price grabs you'll ever see. See if we can get to it.
Oof. That's the quickest drop off I've ever seen. And that's
look at his scores. Last year he was awesome. This year. And now he's on the bench.
Oh really?
Don't buy Robert Barrich. He's their DP too. So I'm curious. I want to look at Gerso. He used to be a Sporting Kansas City guy.
He's going up. That's why.
Really nice.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't
all arounds.
I wouldn't buy him.
What's that?
I wouldn't buy him just because of that price graph. Just because of the price graph. Just because of how much he's jumped, and because it's because he's had some decisives. Like, I stay away from that generally. And again, it's really only like a 0.05 jump, which isn't going to break your bankroll if he.
Yeah, but you don't want to buy on the upswing.
No.
So is Kubo our guy?
Well, what does it make a difference if we have 0.1 left? Does it make a difference?
Let's. I mean, I think 500. I think there's a mental break between 500 and 600. Like, I think people can go 500. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I get that. That makes sense.
I mean, we can here just out of curiosity. Let's push it.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, if there's some guy who's a complete outlier around 0.1.
Johnny Russell after 2. I actually, it's terrible. These people probably hate us, but I got two different Sporting Kansas City beat reporters to message me back. Because I had bought an extra Johnny Russell. I think it was a good deal. I think he was guaranteed to start this weekend after he sat the bench in the midweek, and he's been awesome. And they said that the coach was actually saving him because they play in that Leagues Cup tonight versus Liga MX, and they really want to win it.
Gotcha.
So they were
all right. So maybe he goes up.
But he's like 0.12, and he's a really nice player.
So that doesn't look like anywhere near a big enough difference to make me spend that money.
Yeah, nobody here pops out and goes. Again, though, like, if I got up here, I think
these are the guys I was asking you about last week when I was looking for a forward. I was like, Barrios, Rubio, Ruben.
And I think I told you I really wouldn't recommend spending. Okay, so
yeah, right, and I didn't.
I don't see Russell here. We're past our budget. I'm just curious where he's at. All right, so maybe his price already went up. Maybe they said that he was going to start again. So yeah, I'm gonna let this one be your call.
I would just go with Kubo. See, like, at this point, there is no one there who I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta have him. So I want the guy who starts every match. I don't care what this, especially as a forward. Like, I would probably prefer a guy who can score a goal, and you're probably not going to get that with Kubo. But if that option is not really available to me, and I can save, like, just give me the guy who's going to give me 40 points, and I can move on with my life and find it elsewhere.
Well, especially at forward, because again, I mean, the only other thought we could be here is just for that little bit of extra. Do we maybe want to spend on Pico, who does give us some upside on the decisives?
So what's the difference there? 0.54 to what?
To 0.037.
Okay, that makes a little more sense to me.
But he's also a little bit older.
Sure.
And the hardest part with actual attackers that aren't like that good is it really doesn't take that much for them to lose their spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know for the longest time, Pasher, who's really good for Houston, was out. And then he was at the Olympics, or not the Olympics, at the Gold Cup. He's injured again. I know Urruti was going in and out. They have Memo Rodriguez. So they have a lot of guys. So I'm actually talking myself out of Pico. Let's just look at Kevin Ramirez real quick, because he does have some set piece involved.
So really quick.
Yeah.
Houston plays Colorado, Salt Lake, Dallas, Minnesota, Portland, Austin. So that's your next month.
Yeah. So those are good matchups. It's just that, like, just if all of a sudden they rotate at all, because I saw that they brought in a kid too. I don't know. I'm backing. What do you think of Kevin Ramirez here?
I know nothing. Let's see. Those are decent. Those are decent scores. What's his price?
0.065, but it's a little bit higher than his month. Maybe you could get him for 0.05. Maybe he would be my choice.
Yeah, maybe.
Liga MX is crazy though. You've got to accept some tilt city in Liga MX. So let's do Kubo. I think he fits the brand that we're doing right now.
The other thing too is you can always, I don't know if this is too much of an insider secret, but we have talked about this. We were both doing it and we had never discussed it. But if you can find a guy who is like the cheapest offer for that player on the market is a reward card, like somebody won. A lot of times you can offer way under what they're asking, and they just want to make any profit on the card and move on.
That's how I got my my Castellanos.
Oh,
I got him for 0.2. The guy had him listed for 0.22 or 0.225 or something, which was actually like really cheap too. Like I probably would have eventually paid that. But I talked to Laird once about this, and there's the instant panic when you send a 0.2 type of offer. That's a lot of money, and you get an instant accept. Like you sent it, and within like 30 seconds you have another notification accepted. You're like, oh, what did I do? Is he injured? Did I just get had? And Castellanos has worked out really well. So, but yeah, I don't know if you've had that, like where you should be excited because the guy took the offer that you just gave him, and you immediately have like regret and panic.
Right. Oh, and I have that over every single guy that I try to buy.
Same here. And more often than not, my instinct of regret is correct. But no regrets FC.
That's the name of the team. So for what it's worth, the Kubo at 0.049 is a reward, and so is the one at 0.07.
Oh, so that's gonna be probably a long way to go. But I mean, 0.037 too. If you just looked at, I closed out of it, but if you just looked at his price graph, 0.037 is like even a little bit less than what he's been selling at all year. He's been like 0.04, 0.05, because I actually do know budget people that like him as a forward because he does get you some all around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
but you can get them for cheaper. So, okay. So what did we come in at? What's our?
We came in at 0.137.
0.137. All right. So
for our theme.
Currently, Ethereum is at 3127. 3127 times one, or sorry, my math is bad this early in the morning.
And I'm going to double check that my math isn't bad as I'm putting it up on my board. I mean, now that you're going to do that, I might be off by, I'm adding it real quick. This is like production quality at its finest.
Yes, it is.
We did warn people that this is just going to be the two of us just talking like we normally would. 0.136. I was off by 0.001.
All right, so that team we just built costs currently where Ethereum is, that team costs 425.27.
And we have 4 lockdown starters.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully our goalie is a lockdown starter. Let's see. Yeah. Look, if you make the first weekend, if you get to the 205 threshold and you make 0.01, from a dividend perspective, you just made like an 8% return.
Yeah.
In 4 days. Like, go ask your financial advisor if you can do that.
Yeah, that's tough. And it's a fun way to do it. It can be not too fun if you're tilting. And if like 2 of those guys sit, then all of a sudden you're going to feel some panic. But
I kind of like MLS, by the way, too. This, like, if I was starting this weekend, because you had the whole at least all those guys had the whole midweek off. So realistically, you should have like 7 days off and they should be good to go. But yeah, we'll be following. We'll update next week on the show how that team does. And yeah, let's see. Anything else before we go, Alex?
No, just if you're using this to build your team, then again, feel free to reach out. To either of us.
Discord too. If you need to join Discord if you're on Sorare, because a lot of deals get done. So you can find us on this. If you look up our team, our little Discord links there too.
Yes, that's true. Use the link in the notes that'll get you a free card. Mine was 0.1. I mean, that's like almost as much as we're spending on this whole team. So it's insanely beneficial to do so.
If you only used it that well.
Yeah, right. If only. Do your research, have fun on Sorare data, like dive into that and figure out how to use it and what you can find on there. It's such a great tool.
So what did you think of Player Finder versus Card Finder?
It's probably better to use. There are some filters that I didn't see just from looking at it that I use more. Mm-hmm. But just because sometimes I look for guys who are only on sale
well, that's only in tandem. You can see, I like Player Finder to find the player. And then, but like, I'm trying to figure out super rares right now and trying to find one more super rare.
Right.
I know. # how rich, right? Blah, blah, blah. But,
so rich.
So yeah, hashtag so rich. But it's hard, and I do have to use Card Finder for that because it doesn't matter if I can find a player. Like the supply of super rares is so bad that you're just like
that makes sense.
You're going to players that you've never heard of before and trying to see if you can eke out a score and eke out a deal. So we'll see. All right. On that note, let's get out of here. For Alex, I'm Keith. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great week. Good luck. See you.